Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully insert product data in our database, right? Right now here, I inserted that things like if you go to our API and there is a post on the method, right? That is our URL, and into this URL there is a body row, and here I pass that name, and then there is our value, and there is a price, and also there is our another value. So if you want to check it, like I just make it like that way, right? Here, if you want to add some of the validation, like here in our name property area, that should be one of the string, and into the price, that should be one of the number. So if you want to add that validation, and also if you want to make it as a maximum number, minimum number, if you want to add multiple validation, you can actually do that work with using another npm package as a joy package. So it's very much important, one of the part, make that sure you understand it. Like if you go to that Google and if you search, right now we don't need this, I have already installed that UI. If you search with the joy, okay, JOI, joy npm is very much popular, one of the package. If you go to that their official site, there is our npm site. Into the packages, here there is a joy. You can see there is a joy, and you can see weekly download how much is very popular, as I told you. So first of all, here if you want to use it, you have to install that npm joy install, and also there is a documentation and API. If you go to that documentation, so how that is actually work, like here if you want to working with this joy, here first of all you have to create one of the schema. And into this schema there is one of the object, okay, here that is they're actually using that joy and object method. With this object method you can create some of the object, and into this object they have some of the key as a username key, another one is a password, and then the repeat password, access token, okay. And into the right side they have some of the constant, okay. Into this constant area you can see there is a constant, it's making that as a, that should be as a string, and that is will be as alpha number, that will be as a minimum character, maximum character. If you want to make this field as a require, then you can require it with this, okay. So that is all that our requested key, that means what data actually I pass it, so that is all that our requested key, and that is will be all that our constant value. Okay, so when it should be get appropriate all the data, it should be passed two of these things, like there is a validate. With this validate it should be pass all that our value, rather than if you get any error it should be pass your error message. Okay, now I want to better I show that things with our live example with our this project, okay. That means here I have passed some of the value. So now with this value area, if you want to add some of the validation, how can do that work, I show you. For doing this, first of all we have to install our this package as npm install joy. I simply copy it, and now if you go to our project, our one terminal is running, better I want to run another new terminal, and to this terminal area I want to install as npm install joy. Now if you click as a enter, it will be install this. You can see it's now installing. It's very light one of the package. You can see it's now successfully installed, and also our server is now running, okay. Our server is now running. So first of all we have to import it, okay. That means in our here, after that, okay, after that I want to import this joy. So I make it as a constant, okay, I make it as a constant, and that will be one of the class. For the reasons I make it as a first letter as a capital character, and then that will be as a joy, and joy I name it. That means here I want to require it, that was required. I want to load this module or module name as a joy, okay. I simply import it. Now I want to do, that is one of the class. Here with this I want to create one of the schema, okay. Here that is our post method, so that is all that our post data, right? So into this post method area, here I want to first of all take one of the schemas, that will be constant schema. So that is a schema. I simply create one of the schema, and here we have to create one of the objects. So if you want to create it, that will be with the joy. With this joy I want to load that our object method, that is one of the joy object method, and into this object method area now I want to pass two of this our key name as a name, and also another one as a price, right? So that is a two object I want to add some of the validation for our two of this key, okay. That is a name and then price. So what type of validation you want to add? Like I want to do our name. Our name will be one of the string type. So here if you want to do that work, that will be as a joy. So with this joy I want to make it as a string. Okay, that will be one of the string type. And also after that I want to take another validation as a minimum character, that should be as a 3. Whatever the name actually choose. Right now I make it as a minimum character, should be as a 3. And if you want to make that as a maximum character, then you can also add it as a maximum character will be as a 20. That will be supported. And also I want to make it as a required. Okay, required. I simply make it as a required. So with this required method, I make this field as a required. Great. And for the price I want to do, and that will be the same as a joy. Okay, with this joy I want to make it as a, that will be as a number type. Okay, so for the reasons here I load that as a number and I make it as a required. So there is a simple 2 of this validation I added for our both of this key as a name and then the price. Now I want to validate our which data. I want to validate our this API data. So this API data means where? That will be in our body, right? Before I have already, you can see there is a requested body. We get that our key name as a name and then price. So now I want to do here, I want to add that validate. So that will be as a constant. I take that constant, I name it as a result. Okay, whatever that variable you name. So that is our scheme. There is a schema, and into this schema area I want to use that as a validate, one of the method. I simply loaded this validate, and this validate will be in our which, that will be as a request, right? That will be the requested body. Requested body, all the data that will be validate. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. So better I want to do and to show you, then everything will be more clear. Right now I make it as a comment out. Okay, total part I make it as a comment out. I want to do and to display our this result. I copy it, and here I want to do and to pass it. That means I have to return it. Okay, return, and then the response, that is one of the response, and then the JSON. Into the JSON area I want to pass out this result. Now that will be very much clear to you. So I simply pass it. Now I first of all check it, it's perfectly get all that our validation or not. Like if you click as a save all, our server is now running, go to that API. Now I want to send this data again. You can see everything is great. But right now I want to do here that is a minimum character as a 3, right? I make it as a 1. So now if you click as a send, now you can see it's now successfully loaded, but here that's display one of the error. Okay, you can see it's now display on the error message as a name, a length must be at last 3 characters long. So now that is display like that way, like that is an error, and then the details, and then that is a message, right? Into the message, that is our 0 index. So if you only want to display this message, you can also display it where I show you. Then you have to do into the body. Okay, here I want to do and to put on of the condition, if condition, if there have any error. Okay, so I make it as a error. If there have any error, I want to return our response status, that is our response, and response our status, that will be as a 400. I make it as a 400. Great. So that, and then that will be our JSON data. So I make that JSON data area. Here I want to pass that our message. So I name that our, here if you go that is that our message, right? So I want to update this message. I only display this message, so that will be as a message, and message will in our which place? Message in our, first of all, that will be in our error, right? Error, and into this error, that is the details, and then that is our first index message I want to visible. Okay, so for the reasons here, first of all, we have to use that as a error, then that will be as a details, and then our first index message that I want to visible. So here, simple work, I make it as a error, here that will be error, I make it as a error, and then that will be as a details, right? Details. So make sure your spelling is correct, because that is actually our path name. So that is our details. I copy it better. And I make it as a error details, and into this details first index means what? That means our 0, right? So that is our first index, our which field data, that is a first index message that I want to visible. So now I want to do after that will be as a message. Okay, I simply pass it our first index message data. Right now we don't need this, I close it, and also I make it as an uncomment. Okay, now I want to check it. Now that should be display only our error message. Okay, now that should be display only that error message. Let's check this out. If you click as a save all, server is now running, go there. So right now I make it as a same, they have some of the error. Now click as a send, Now it's display our total HTML file. References error is not defined. Here I didn't pass. You can see there is a result, right? Here I pass that as a result. So now I want to pass that our, so that will be as an error. Okay. So for the reasons you can see that is actually not defined. Now I want to pass that error. Now that should be okay. Now click as a save all. Now they have found the error because that is a minimum character should be as a 3. Now click as a send. You can see now it's only displayed that our error message as a name must be, that is a length must be at least 3 characters, right? And here if you pass that as a string value, like I copy it and I pass on the string value because that should be as a numeric value, right? Now click as a send. Now it's get that our first one, better I make it first one as this name. Now click as a send. Yes, you can see now it's display our another message as a price must be a number. Okay, I have already put this type of on the validation because here I make this, you can see that is a, or this field, that this key will be as a number type. For the reasons it's actually display our this error. Okay, price must be a number. How can display this type of one of the validation? How can do that work? I hope friend it's very much clear to you. But when you pass that appropriate everything, okay, if you pass the appropriate name as a mango, now I make it as a mango. Okay, mango, and then that will be price, that will be obviously on the number type. I make it as a 50. Okay, I make it as a 50, and then if you click as a send, yes, you can see it's now successfully stored this data. And if you want to check it, go to that our show method. Now click as a send. Now that should be another one. You can see there is another one is added successfully. There is a mango, price 50, everything is great. Okay, so if you want to add some of the validation in your row, then how can do that work? So that is a simple process you have to follow. You have to create one of the schema. You have to add all that your validation. So you will get all that references. As I told you, make that understand their documentation. So into this documentation, everything is in here. Okay, so that everything is in here. So remember this package. So that is very much popular of the package as a joy package. Okay, how can add some of the validation with this joy package? I hope it's very much clear to you. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.